Alright, welcome to Radial Design number 3. This is the radial design we're going to be working on next. And as you notice, there's a lot of triangles involved in this design, and it's perhaps the most complex one we've attempted yet. But I'm certain that if you play back the video and use the controls on your media player, that you'll be able to accomplish it successfully. Alright, welcome. We're going to be looking at a third type of radial design here, and this design actually is going to use the equilateral triangle as part of the design. And I look forward to showing you that, as well as reviewing some of the keyboard shortcuts that we've used in the past, Radial Design 1, Radial Design 2. You'll see some references back to those designs as we discover this new radial design. And again, my hope is that you'll take some of these design techniques and go and build your own radial designs, and then perhaps share them on our blog, the Design Solutions blog, with the radial designs in mind. Alright, so let's begin. What we're going to do, if you're in XP, it's going to look a little bit differently, but again, we're going to go down here to the Start menu. We're going to left click on the Start menu and then left click on All Programs. Now in XP you'll need to hover over this folder called Accessories. In Vista you'll simply need to left click on it. Anyhow, Accessories is the folder that contains the Paint application, so we're going to left click on the Paint application. Now just a couple reviews. Sometimes when you open it up, it'll look something like this. The Paint application will open like this, and all you'll need to do at that point is go to here where it says Maximize and simply left click on that Maximize button, which will bring it to full size. Now also, some of your canvases, that's the white part of my screen, some of your canvases might look something more like this, and that's fine. We're going to fix that anyway in the first step. So let's do that now. Let's go ahead to Image, left click on Image, and go to Attributes. We're going to left click there, and you'll notice it says 476 by 226, the width and the height. We're going to change those. We know that a square has equal lengths on the sides, and so we need to change those to equal numbers. So I'm going to start with 600. And that is 600 pixels, that's the unit of measurement. And then we're going to also change the height to 600 as well. Make sure pixels is selected, make sure colors is selected, and then press OK. Now your square will look something like this. If your square happens to be larger so that it goes off the bottom of the screen where you can't see it, what I'd ask you to do is go back and change the image attributes to something smaller, perhaps 550, perhaps even 500, so that you can actually see the entire white canvas, because that's going to be very helpful as you proceed through this design. Alright, the next thing we're going to want to do is move up to the File menu, click on File, and we're going to save this. We're going to save it as, we're going to call this one Radial Design 3. Radial Design 3, and we're going to save it as a bitmap. So we're going to go to 24-bit bitmap. It says bitmap already, so I'm going to just save it as a bitmap. Save, and I'm going to replace my previous one that was called Radial Design 3. Okay, so at this point we've got a nice square canvas and we're ready to begin. What I'd like you to do, especially if you're in XP, remember what happens if you make a mistake like this. What you can do is hit Control Z and undo that error. But what I would like you to do is go over here to the line tool and left click on the line tool. And what this will do is bring up your line tool options, and we're going to work in the third line thickness for this design. So I'm going to left click on the third line thickness. And then I'm going to click on the ellipse tool. Now if you're in Vista, it's kind of handy because you can actually change the thickness of the line here. But if you're in XP, you'll only have these three options, which is fine. Anytime you need to change the line options, just go to the line tool and it'll allow you to change those. But we're going to left click on the ellipse tool because we're going to start this radial design as we have in the past with a circle. And so we're going to left click on the ellipse tool, make sure that the outline only is selected. Now again, this is outline with a fill, and this one is a fill only. We want this outline. Since we're constructing a framework, we're going to want that outline only. Alright, so ellipse, outline only, and we're going to bring our cursor onto the canvas and place it in this top left corner. Alright, and then we'll hold the shift key, left click, and we're going to drag all the way to the right corner. Now you'll notice I went from the left corner to the right corner, which makes my circle fit perfectly. See how it snugly fits into this square perfectly? Again, I held the shift key and dragged from one corner to the top left to the lower right corner to make that circle. Now it's very important that your circle actually comes out very close to these center points. These little blue dots will tell you where the center is, and it's very important. You should not have a gap here or here. Make sure that this circle actually fills out this square as much as possible, because that will be very helpful as we proceed with the design. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is divide the circle in half, which we need to use the line tool with which to do this. So select the line tool and move to your third line thickness. We're going to move on to the screen, and again, using these little blue points here, we're going to use those as reference points to divide the circle in half. So I hold the shift key, click the left mouse button, and drag until I get all the way across. Then I let go with the mouse button first and then the shift key, and you have to do that in that order or else you're liable to make mistakes. So if you're having trouble, make sure that you're holding the left mouse button and then you let go of the left mouse button before you let go of the shift key, and that will make sure your line doesn't jump about and do things you don't want it to do. Alright, from this point, what we're going to do, it looks like I made a little point there, so Control Z will undo that. From this point, what we're going to do is go to the selection tool, this square selection tool or rectangular selection tool. We're going to left click on it, and it gives us two options, the opaque or the transparent. And again, as always, since we're building a framework, we're going to want to select the transparent selection tool. So I left click on that, it turns it blue. That means I'll be able to see through and not pick up the background as well. Now what are we going to select? We're going to move our cursor up to this top left corner, and we're going to select, if I can get this here, there we go. We're going to select the top of this circle, actually the top half, including, notice if you will, I include this center line that we've drawn. So select the entire top half of the circle, including the halfway point. Alright, then what we're going to do is hit Control C and then Control V. Now another way to do that would just be to go up here and click Edit, Copy, and then go back and hit Edit and Paste. And when you've done that, you'll notice that you've actually pasted it identically. This is the half circle pasted identically. Now here's what we're going to do with it. We're going to take that by left clicking and dragging. We're going to move that half circle right down to the bottom. Okay, and here's the key point. You want to make sure that it's touching right here in the center of your circle. So we check the bottom left corner, we check the bottom right corner, and we check to make sure it's just touching the center line. So if I left click over here, I'll notice I've got this nice intersection here right in the center of my circle. Now this is going to form the points that we need to construct our first equilateral triangle. Now some of you may know where it's hiding. Some of you may not, but everyone will in a few seconds. Here's where our equilateral triangle is hiding. Now again, what is an equilateral triangle? It's a triangle that has three sides that are all the same length. Now where is that? Well, if we start right here at the very tip, you see this little blue dot, we're going to start at the very center point of our triangle. And we're going to use, actually we need to switch tools. Let's go switch to the line tool, make sure it's the third line thickness. And we're going to move on to the canvas right up here at this blue section, blue point, little blue dot. We're going to use that as a reference point. We're going to center our cursor, left click, and we're going to drag. Where are we going to drag? No, not there. We're going to drag right over here to this intersection that we've created by moving our half circle down. We've created this intersection here and here. So if we create two lines, both starting from this center point at the top of the circle, right to those two intersections, they will be the same distance. Now where's the third line? The third line is from the intersection on the left to the intersection on the right. Notice, if you will, that those 3 points create our equilateral triangle. That is, this line is the same length as this line, is the same length as this line, and therefore this angle is the same as this angle and is the same as this angle. 3 equal angles as well. Alright, so that's going to be the basis for this design, the equilateral triangle. So here's what we're going to do next. We're going to go to Edit and move down to Select All, or you can notice the keyboard shortcut is Control A. So hit left click on Select All, or hit Control, hold down Control and hit the A button, and each of those will do the same thing. It'll select the entire canvas. Now once your entire canvas is selected, what we're going to attempt to do is flip this same. We're going to copy it and paste it, and we're going to flip this triangle so that the peak is copied except pointing down at the bottom. So let's try that. So select all, then we go to Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste, and I'll probably use the shortcuts next time. But notice what happens when I copy and paste it. It's actually right there. That whole design is already copied and pasted to my clipboard, and I can actually start moving it around. But the easiest way to do this, to flip this, is to go right up to here to where it says Image. While it's still selected, I'm going to click on Image, go to Flip and Rotate, and actually I'm going to flip it vertically. So I want this triangle from the top now on top, pointing down as well. So let's see what happens when I do that. Oh, there it is. That is it. So now let's move it around so it's perfectly centered. We want those lines as perfect as possible, and you'll notice we now have a second triangle overlapping that first triangle. Okay, very good. So now we have this sort of 6-pointed star, or what they call a Star of David. So here's our first point, second point, third point, fourth point, fifth point, sixth point in that star. And we're going to see that turn up later on as well. At this point, what you could do if you wanted to is create a hexagon. So you could draw a line from each of these points, and that would create for you a perfect hexagon. So it's interesting to see how all these shapes are relating to our circle and to our square. Alright, so what are we going to do next? Next, what I'd like you to do is again hold the Control key and hit the V, which will also again paste it. So if you, again, all you'd have to do is go back. Since it's still on the clipboard, we can paste it again. Once it's pasted, you should be able to move it. That's how you know it's pasted in place. And what we're going to do this time is we're going to rotate it. We're going to go to Image. We're going to rotate by angle 90 degrees. We'll see what that does. Oh, kind of cool there. We're going to put that here. So now we've got the triangle pointing. Now you can see it. It's actually pointing to the right from a 90-degree flip. Alright, and then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go Edit, Paste. So we've got that same original piece that we put on the clipboard, except this time we're going to go to Image, Flip and Rotate, and we're going to rotate by angle 270 degrees. We click OK, and there it is. Notice how simple that was. And now we've got these 4 leaf-like designs as part of our new design, and we have now a 12 pointed star around our circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we've got that 12 pointed star there. That's kind of a neat effect. Alright, now let's go ahead at this point and select the line tool, and we're going to add some lines to this and kind of soup up this design a little bit. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start from the center with our third line thickness selected, starting from the center, and I want you to notice this intersection right here. We're going to actually draw a line through that intersection all the way to the edge of the circle, just like this. And then we're going to do the same thing here, from the center point through this intersection, right off to the edge of the circle. Alright, looking good. Alright, we'll do that again, right off to the edge of the circle. And then one more time through this intersection, right off to the edge of the circle. Alright, very good. Okay. Now we're going to draw some more lines here. We're actually going to draw a line from the center. Now this is a little tricky, but we're going to go through this triangle just to the left of this line that we just drew. We're going to go through this triangle all the way here. And we're going to do that again through this little triangle all the way to the outside of our circle. This is going to simply add some radiation to our design. So again, from the center, you may have to replay this a few times to find this. I know it's getting a little complex. That's why I waited till the third design to add all these lines. But again, if you follow carefully, just simply watch the video a few times, rewind it through your media player. I don't think you'll find it too difficult. It looks a little confusing, but I think you can do it. And again, right out through this intersection to the outside edge of the circle each time. Alright, that gives us a nice look, a nice movement from the center out and from the outside corners to the center. Okay, now I told you before we'd be revisiting the triangles, the equilateral triangles, and you can still see them here. There's several of them. There's actually 1, 2, 3 of those triangles, actually 4. Actually 12 points, so there's 4 of those triangles all the way around. Alright. Now at this point we're going to add some more triangles. And we're going to do that starting from the center, we're going to move right up to the first intersection on this center line. Starting from the center point, go to the first intersection. Okay. And we're actually going to go to this intersection right here. Right here. Now, how do you find that, you say? Well, I suppose we could count. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're going to go 8 points around. Then again, 8 more points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then 8 points around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right back to the beginning. Okay, you can start to see how this triangle is congruent with the outside triangle. Just a little bit smaller. And so let's go again. Let's start from the opposite point. So we started here last time. Let's start from the bottom. And we'll count 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then drag it out to the outside to the first intersection there. Then again, left click. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we're going to go out to the outside. Right there at that first intersection out from the center. And then again, right back. This one's easy. We can go right back to the beginning where we started. Alright, and there's your second Star of David or 6-point star. Now we could even make this more confusing by starting at the halfway point here with another 6-point star. Alright, but I'll let you do that if you want to. You can start at this point, the halfway point between here and here, which would be right there. You could start your another overlapping 6-point star, but that's beyond the scope of what we're going to cover in this one. I think this is a good enough design right now. You know what I'd like to do though? I'd like to add a circle. And to do this, I'd like to add 4 circles just to complete this design. It's a little bit plain out here, lots of activity in the center. I'd like to add a circle to the outside, and so I'm going to go over here to the ellipse tool, keeping the 3rd line thickness. We're going to start our circle right here at this corner, and I'm going to hold the shift key, left click, and drag from this corner to this corner. Alright, gives us a kind of a nice circular repetition in our design. So again, from corner to corner, we're going to do this 4 times. From inside these sort of leaf pods, it almost reminds me of a berry if it were a fruit tree. Alright, so that gives it some nice balance and repetition. Okay, so at this point we can go in and color it. Now again, you can color it as you would like to. I always like to go in with an alternating pattern, and so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use an alternating pattern, and I'll play around with some different colors. Let's see. Let's go ahead up to our paint bucket tool. And again, to color this, you have your 2 colors. You have the left click color and the right click color. And again, if you happen to hit the line and it changes the whole framework a different color, the first thing I want you to do is stop and hit Control Z. That will undo it and hopefully turn it right back, because too many times students try to fix it in some other way and they end up with all this hard work down the drain because they cannot fix it. Alright, so don't let that happen to you. Let's go ahead and pick a left click mouse color, and I'm going to go with some kind of, let's go with like a periwinkle on my left click, and then maybe go with a, let's go with a green. I haven't done any of this with the green. Maybe a light green. Oh, that's kind of nice. Alright. And and I'll left click. Oh, look at that, colored in that whole thing. Right click, left click, right click, right click. Oh, that's a nice spring-like color. Alright, so this one would have to be green, blue, green, blue. Oh, nice alternating pattern here. Alright, then I could continue with the blue here, or the blue there, green there, blue there, green there. Now if I wanted to, I could just continue all the way in my whole circle using just those two colors. However, I'm going to change it up a little bit, make it a little more interesting. Alright, maybe go with a darker shade of green for my left click color. And let's see, a darker shade of green. And maybe somewhat of a red, maybe a burgundy. Ooh, that'll be nice. Let's try this. So, starting here, left click. I'm going to keep all this green. I'm going to keep this all red. Left. Left. I'm going to do this. Left click. You know what? And then I'll reverse it when I get to this other side. I'll right click and keep these more of a burgundy color and these more of a green color. Ooh, that's nice. That's very nice. Okay, now we're left with this sort of 12-point star figure in the center. So, alright, what color should I pick next? Maybe go back to my blue. And my green. And do some of these blue and green. Maybe both blue. Ooh, that's kind of nice. That's kind of nice. All right. Let's change that. Control Z. I'm going to leave that blank for now. I'll do this whole thing. I'm going to concentrate on staying within this rounded area and just alternating in, so blue, green, right click, blue, green, 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 blue. Okay, that works. Alright, then come over here, same thing. Green, blue, green, blue, green, blue, blue, green, blue, green, blue, green, green, blue, green, blue, green, blue, green, blue, green, blue, green, blue. Alright, this is looking nice. Alright, on the opposite side, since I used green, I'll use green over here. Blue, green, blue, green, blue. Blue, green, blue, green, blue, green, Uh-oh, there's what I told you about. You don't want that to happen. So what did I tell you to do? Control Z, undo that, move that over. We don't want those lines to turn another color. That will destroy the design. Right. So now this time, since our blue is out here, I'm going to use blue, green, blue, green, blue, green, green, blue, green, blue, green, blue, green, blue, green, blue, green, blue, blue, green, blue, green, blue, green. Alright, that looks good. Okay, and now by doing this, if I use a nice light color, I can make these sharp points really stick out. So I'm going to actually come in. I like the yellow, or maybe a bright orange, maybe something like a yellow orange, something like this. And I don't know, like a yellow orange, and maybe a pink. What do you think? Oops. Control Z, Control Z. Let's go with a yellow and yellow orange, something like this. That's not quite dark enough. Let's go with an orange, something like this. Oh yeah, that looks nice. Good. So again, keeping this well balanced, keeping this somewhat symmetrical. It's not perfectly symmetrical, but it's somewhat approximately symmetrical. Yellow, yellow, orange, orange, yellow, yellow, orange, 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 yellow, yellow, orange, orange. Good. Yellow, yellow, orange, orange, yellow, yellow, orange, orange, yellow, yellow, orange, orange, yellow, yellow. Okay, very nice. And again, file, save, just so we don't lose it. We're going to save that. And there it is, radial design number 3, much more like a stained glass radial design effect, or maybe a kaleidoscope effect on that one. But altogether, I think it was a successful design. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I hope you've learned a lot, especially about the relationship of the square and the triangle, especially the equilateral triangle to the circle. And I hope this has been a successful video for you. Alright, thank you.